Alright guys, so now we're going to look at a real tongue twister, organismal organization. Um, so this is part of our growth and repair unit, and we're going to be looking at how organisms are put together from cells to whole organisms, and the levels they're organized as. We've kind of looked at this before, and it should be, fairly straightforward. So the point of this is you need to understand the levels of organismal hierarchy. Okay, so you also need to know what that means. You need to understand the need for levels of organismal hierarchy. Now you're probably going to need to make sure you listen to this as opposed to just writing down what we have on the board here, because there's going to be a bit of I'm going to say some things that probably aren't quite just written down perfectly, are they? Okay, so first off, multicellular organisms. This is not new to you. You are a multicellular organism. You have multiple cells. So an organ system within the body, they provide all of the cellular requirements for each and every cell. Okay, and this usually gets to it via blood in animals or water and sap in plants. And we'll have a look at that probably in the next couple of lessons. So one of the difficulties of being a multicellular organism is you can't just every single cell can't just pull everything it needs out of the environment around it, but that's all they can do. So what we have as multicellular organisms is we have these systems such as respiratory system, um, and so forth, digestive system, and their job is to get what we need to the cells. So multicellular organisms have a hierarchy of organization that allows cellular requirements and waste as well, just as important to get rid of the excess stuff, to move around the organism. And this is the way all multicellular organisms are organized. We'll have a look at this side first. So you've got the levels of, so we're going from smallest to largest, okay? So you've got protons, neutrons, electrons. These make up atoms, which make up compounds. All right, so that's the non-living parts. But then you've got cells, which they're made up of different compounds all working together. If you put a bunch of different types of cells together, you will get, hang on, I'll get my, nope, get my pen here. If you put the cells together, just so I can see it on the white background, if you put cells together, so if you've got a bunch of one type of cells, and they've all got similar functions, that's a tissue. For example, you have muscle tissue. An organ is multiple, and so you've got the organ is the heart. You've got multiple different muscles together to make up heart muscle, to make up a heart. Then, if you combine a few different organs together, you can make up a system. For example, the veins, the capillaries, and arteries, plus the heart, they make up the circulatory system. And they interact with other circulatory systems. So when you've got systems acting, so when you've got these organs acting together, you get an organ system. And when the organ systems act together, you get a whole organism. For example, the circulatory system needs to get oxygen from your lungs, which means it also acts with the respiratory system. It also needs to get glucose and sugars and stuff to take around the body for the different cells, so it needs to interact with the digestive system. So none of these get to work alone, but we can classify them into, so if we start here at the whole organism, we can then break it into smaller sections which work together specifically, and then these little sections which are working together, we can separate those out, which can then be broken down further and further. Here is an example. Okay, so we've got a plant one and an animal one. So we've got small molecules, large molecules, they all act together, and together they make a cell. So this stuff here is non-living. We're not actually that interested in that stuff right now. So you've got an animal cell. Now these animal cells all act together as a tissue, and this makes cardiac tissue, which is a particular type of muscle tissue. These then act with a couple other different cell tissues. So here we've got different types of muscles. Cardiac muscle would be this one here. You got some fat in there, which is important. Not too much, but you need some there. That together makes an organ. These organs then work together to make an organ system. In this case, the cardiovascular system. Then, that combined with a bunch of other systems makes up the complex organism. And we do the same down here. We've got plant cells into leaf tissue. This gives you your whole leaf. which then joins up with the leaves and the stems and the roots to give you your that'd be part of the the stem system, shoot system, and here we've got the complex organism, which is a tree. And that's it. And we'll see you in class.